France is desperate for workers to fund its retirees, yet it has one of the highest youth unemployment rates in the developed world. One important aspect of France's egalitarian culture is its robust protection of workers' rights. The French worker is typically well protected from discrimination, wrongful termination, and from being overworked. The standard work week in France is 35 hours, and employees are afforded the right to disconnect, promoting healthy work-life balance. French employee-employer agreements typically fall into two categories: the CDI, or Contrat à durée indéterminée, and the CDD, Contrat à durée déterminée, otherwise known as permanent and temporary contracts. The CDI is the standard open-ended permanent employment contract which offers maximum job security, paid benefits, and stability. In France, this is the default. In fact, employers must justify their use of a CDD or fixed-term contract. CDDs are typically used for seasonal employment, replacement of absent employees, or to fill temporary work for a specified task, and typically range from 1 to 18 months. In essence, if you have a CDI permanent job contract, you have the gold standard of benefits and are almost impossible to fire. As an employee, this sounds great. As an employer, not so much. The CDI has created unintended consequences for the French economy that are particularly acute in the current crisis. Remember, on top of salary, employers must pay the government an additional 45% of gross wages in social contributions. The cost of hiring an employee in France is akin to hiring 1.5 elsewhere. For comparison, employer social security taxes in the United States are 6.2%. So, hiring new employees is too costly and getting rid of bad ones is near impossible. As a result, businesses have clammed up. This has created a two-tiered system in France, those with permanent positions and those without. On one side, you have an older, skilled workforce secure in their employment, and on the other, you have the youth. Young people in France with little to no qualifications are being hired into temporary roles and receiving little to no training. The contract ends and workers are left unemployed, no closer to securing permanent employment than when they started. They are ever increasingly being trapped in a self-reinforcing cycle of temporary work. The problem is only getting worse. CDIs, or permanent roles, account for approximately 85% of total employment in France. The other 15% fall into the temporary category. But an alarming trend is emerging. Permanent positions, well, by nature, remain permanent, with less turnover and less hiring. Temporary employment, however, has been undergoing a structural shift. Over the last 2 decades, the share of new hires falling into the category of fixed-term contracts lasting less than 1 month in length has increased from slightly under 50% to nearly 70%. And in France, the odds of transitioning from a temporary contract to a permanent position is extremely low, somewhere between 10 and 20%. The same laws that are meant to protect workers in France are preventing them from being hired into meaningful employment. One solution for a labour shortage seems obvious: immigration.